Roxo Media House.
Mustangs dreaming right here. They need something. Stone picked off. Josh Newton's got the football. Newton's still on his feet. Newton, can he? Will he? Out of bounds at the 10.
Welcome back, folks. State of the Frogs. I'm J.W. Wilson. This guy is your head coach, Sonny Dykes. We are fresh off last week's victory over SMU, 34-17. Coach, we're 3-1. You had the second largest crowd ever at Amon Carter Stadium. The defense, almost 10 quarters without a touchdown, which is incredible in itself. Thoughts on the game?
Yeah, first of all, I just want to thank our fans for coming out. I mean, it was a great crowd. As you said, second largest in school history. It was hot. I mean, it was a really, really hot day, and appreciate the students, especially those guys that hung in there for a long time. And, you know, it's fantastic when we have a great home field environment. It makes a big difference for our players. And so it was a good game. Felt like we played well. Like you said, I thought defensively we really played well. Just gave up a one touchdown drive and then kind of gave up a late drive. But really like the way our guys are playing right now, playing with more confidence every week. And you can see us start to get better and better on not just defensively, but on offense as well, and I thought we had a solid game in special teams as well.
Thus far this season, Coach, you've outscored your opponents 153-81, so there's that. Chandler is also near 70% completion percentage, so things are starting to fall in the line, seemingly.
Yeah, I think the great thing about Chandler is he just seems to get better every week. I think he's one of those guys that, the more football he plays, the more comfortable he gets, the more confident he gets, and I think we're starting to get on the same page with our receivers and tight ends and running backs. And, I thought the offensive line took a big step as well. So I really liked the way the group's coming together. We talked all week about how important it was going to be to be a really physical team, particularly in the second half. And I think you could see the offensive line and defensive front as the game went on really started to dominate, and that's what we wanted to see from those guys.
Coach, real quick, injuries from this week's game. We've had a few guys that had to come out of the game. How are we injury-wise?
Luckily we ended up really good. Brandon Coleman's been nursing a little bit of an ankle sprain, both he and Andrew Coker both, and I think both those guys are feeling better than they have in a while. Dalen Wright really didn't play. We were trying to get through the game without having to play him if we could, and feel like he's better than he has been in a while. And so, I think we're starting to heal up and really probably as healthy as we have been in a number of weeks. So, I think we're in a good place.
Coach, this piece of hardware right here, you've had it a few times in your career. Did any celebratory moments happen with this? Any horse meat recipes or anything?
No, nothing like that. I think some guys passed it around a little bit in the locker room, and that was kind of the extent of it. So good to get it back, good to have it for 2 years, and, hopefully we'll keep it for 2 more.
Very good, Coach. It's, as they say, the story's been told. Now it's getting old, so let's move on past the SMU Mustangs, but congrats again for a great win. We'll be right back with our student question of the week for Coach Sonny Dykes.
We wouldn't be able to do the things we were able to do this year without the Flying T Club. So we got to continue to get people involved. It's more important right now than it's ever been.
Flying T is special. It's the best thing that I've encountered in college. It allows us to be able to offset a lot of the costs that our scholarships aren't able to cover. If people like winning, invest in the Flying T Club and NIL.
It's almost a necessity now in the college football world. I mean, you got to kind of invest in the programs, and what you put in is what you get out.
We're back now with our student question of the week, brought to you by our friends at Railhead Barbecue. Coach, this week's question comes from us from Nick.
What's going on, guys? My name's Nick Gray. I'm a sophomore here at TCU. I'm from Nashville originally, pre-business major. And my question for you, Coach, is what's the story behind your name? You got a really unique name, Sonny Dykes, and we'd love to know the story behind it.
Coach, what do you think?
Yeah, Sonny it's funny. It's my nickname. It's not my real name, so I don't have a middle name. My name is Daniel Dykes. Sonny was a nickname. I was named after really my dad's 2 best friends, a guy named Sonny Everett and a guy named Daniel LaGrasta. And so those were the 2 guys my dad knew. And it's funny. Till the day my dad died, he thought Sonny was on my birth certificate. And I kept telling him it's not. It just says Daniel Dykes. And my mom made sure it didn't make it on there. And I think my mom wanted to name me something else. So anyway, when we had a son in my mom's honor, we decided to name him Daniel and call him Daniel. And it wasn't really after me. It was more to honor my mom, because my mom always wanted to call me Daniel, but my dad called me Sonny.
Love it. And so while we're on the topic of names, your dad, Spike, I don't think Spike was his original name as well.
No,
how did Spike get his name?
Yeah, so his real name is William Taylor. So that was his name. And Spike Dykes was actually a character in the old Dick Tracy comic books, believe it or not. And so that's where the name Spike came from. His dad was a guy named Billy, and who was my grandfather, and he started calling him Spike when he was a little kid, and somehow it stuck.
Awesome. Thank you, Nick, for your question, and Coach, thanks for sharing. We'll be right back with our next week's opponent, West Virginia, with your head coach, Daniel Dykes.
Simply the best barbecue in Fort Worth. Dine in, catering, or drive-through. 2900 Montgomery, just off I-30. Remember, the best barbecue in Fort Worth is at Railhead Smokehouse.
We're back with State of the Frogs, your host JW and your coach Sonny Dykes. Coach, West Virginia's coming to town 7 o'clock Saturday night. They're 3-1, just like you guys. Last week, 20-13 win over Texas Tech. Head coach Neil Brown. Before we get into the actual game plan, you can share with us. But Coach Neil Brown, you've had some relationship with him a little bit.
Yeah, I actually know Neil since he was in high school. We started recruiting him when I was at the University of Kentucky. He came over and played for us when I was coaching at Kentucky. Neil was a good football player. We had a JV team for a couple of years at Kentucky. Neil played a little bit on the JV team when I was the head coach, and ended up being a good player and playing with the big team later on. But super smart guy. Neil's one of those players. When you coached him, you knew he was going to become a coach. I mean, he just was really smart, creative guy, always thinking about strategy, that kind of stuff. And he's had a really great career. He did some great things at Troy, and when he got the West Virginia job, I just thought it made a lot of sense. He's from that area. He grew up in Kentucky and right adjacent to West Virginia. And so he understands the area, understands kind of the mentality there, and he's done a really nice job with the program and has them playing really good. As you said, they're 3-1. Lost a hard-fought game to Penn State early, and since then have been on a run. They won the backyard brawl against Pittsburgh and really dominated those guys, and really played well last week against Texas Tech as well. So it's a team that's got a lot of momentum. They're playing with a lot of confidence. It's a typical West Virginia team, very, very physical, tough-minded team. Really want to run the football. They've got a big, powerful running back and do a good job of pounding him. And that's kind of what they want to do. They want to play a physical brand of football. And so we're going to have to do a great job preparing for it this week and come out and not only match their physicality but surpass it.
I got to believe our defense and the way they're playing is a good matchup because I think Nico Marchiol is his name, is his second start ever in college. His dad played in the NFL, I think linebacker for a couple teams, but is a second-time starter in a college game. This is a defense's dream, I would want to believe, correct?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think anytime you play against kind of a young quarterback, you want to make sure you do a good job of confusing him and pressuring him and not letting him get too comfortable and settled in. And so, I think it's probably the same kind of philosophy when people play us. Chandler doesn't have that many starts, and anytime you can take a young quarterback and confuse them and unsettle them a little bit, it's usually a good thing. And so, we'll be trying to do the same thing to them that they're going to try to do to us, and that's, again, make the quarterback uncomfortable. But again, they've got a really strong, powerful run game. The quarterback can hand it off, and they can churn out first downs and keep the ball away from you. And my guess is that's what they'll try to do on Saturday.
Coach, I appreciate the time. That's been another great edition of State of the Frogs with your head coach, Sonny Dykes.
Roxo Media House.